All right. And we are back. What is going on? What is going on? We got some folks already in the chat. We got Kimmy. We got Sergeant Lawson up in here. And we got Muppet up in here. What up? What up? What's going on, guys? Appreciate you guys for being here. Welcome back. Happy Sunday to you guys. Hope you guys are doing well. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Age of Men podcast. We were missing last week. We had some superhero things to do. Got to save the world one state at a time, one country at a time. You know what I'm saying? So we had to do our thing. But we're back. No bad guys today. So we're here to save the world with the conversations, dialogue between men and women in relationships and things like that. So only on the Age of Men podcast will you get exclusives of me and Nick saving the world.
So, all in a day's work, Julius. All in a day's work.
So yeah, we appreciate you guys for being here. Do hit that like button. Do hit subscribe. What's up, Mark? Do hit subscribe if you're not subscribed already. We appreciate you guys. Got a pretty interesting show for you guys. If you guys saw the thumbnail, yes, I did go see the Barbie movie. I did check it out. I know lots of conservatives were getting on other conservative men for watching the movie, but let me explain why I watched the movie, and I will be reviewing this on my YouTube channel tomorrow on Today with Julius to go more in depth into it. But the reason why I went to go watch the movie is because I love watching movies, whether they're good or bad, woke, non-woke, doesn't matter. I love watching movies to give my opinion because movies are a part of the culture. And nowadays, with these Hollywood movies now, they're pushing a lot more wokeism to the audience, and people kind of take that. I would argue there are people out there who take movies as gospel. So they watch these movies like the Barbie movie or a Captain Marvel movie or the 2016 Ghostbuster movie, something like that, where it kind of pushes this message of women good, men bad. And that's like what we have now. So you got these race swap, gender swap, trans and yada, yada, yada. They put all this stuff in there for representation, diversity, equity, and inclusion. For the sake of what? And then you come to find out they're losing money because of it. Because once you go woke, you go broke. So that's Hollywood for you. So what's up, Batanas?
Hey,
do
this Trump. Do this Trump. When you go woke, you go broke.
When you go woke, you go broke. Thing is, everything in Hollywood, everything woke turns to
yeah. That's awesome, man.
We don't love wokeism. We don't love it. We love America. America. We love it. I love it. I love it. I know it. They know it.
Trump 2024.
USA. So that's why I said beta. Hey, listen, I saw the Barbie movie so that you wouldn't have to.
Look what Julius does for you people, folks. Only on the Age of Men is he going to put in a hard day's work sitting through this movie, which, by the way, he gave me the breakdown earlier, folks, so I didn't have to see it. And Julius, when we're getting into it, if you don't mind, I'd like you to more or less bring the audience up to speed on it like you did me, because it was perfect.
Yeah, no. So first and foremost, if anybody wants to join the chat, all you guys watching right now, if you want to join the chat, I'm going to put the link in the comments right now. So anybody that wants to join in and talk about the topics we're going to be talking about, especially the Barbie movie, do join the conversation. Love to have a conversation with you guys about it. So I saw the Barbie movie, and this movie was presented as a movie that's going to be like a fun for the family to watch. This Barbie movie is kind of like this world. Think of it like Toy Story, but live action on where Barbie thinks their life is like when people are playing with them. Do you know what I mean? So you know how in Toy Story you saw the toys were alive once Andy was gone. Once he came back, they just kind of play dead. And then in this Barbie movie, they kind of made it seem like they had this kind of this world, this Barbie land, where in their mind they're living how people play with them. right? But
Yeah,
in
so the
reality,
imagination of the kids is coming out through they're actually thinking they're living that shit.
exactly, all their actions and things like that. And so in reality, what happened was, so this is spoilers. So if anybody's gonna watch it, I am gonna spoil the movie.
For all of
Full
you out there that were gonna go see it this weekend, Muppet.
yeah. Muppet said how many he says how many gay characters were there. There was
Oh,
honestly, there was actually one, and there was one trans woman, aka a man who pretended to be a woman. So there was no, at least that I know of, there is no gay characters, there's no lesbian. It was just a man who pretended to be a woman, which was really, really odd because his voice was the only one you can tell. It was like, "Hi, I'm Barbie," and I was like, "Oh my goodness, bro! Like this is just weird." It was weird. So nonetheless, so it starts out with these girls. There's this narration and then talking about how when girls first came around, there were baby dolls. And then when they would play with these baby dolls, they would play with them like they're all mothers, right? So they all look bored. Like it's crazy too. If you look at the symbolism, right? They all look bored. They were holding the baby, feeding it. They all look bored. And then all of a sudden, this new Barbie comes in from Mattel, and then the young girls see it, and they smash the baby dolls. They smash the cups. They break the other baby dolls because now they got this whole new line of Barbie dolls where they can be anything. You know, they can be an astronaut, they can be a lawyer, they can be a construction worker, they could be a scientist, they could be a doctor, they can be a whole bunch of things, right? And so the narration was saying that Barbie helped feminism because it allowed women to become anything. So in this world of Barbie land, it was ran by women essentially, and all the men there were just a bunch of simps, always trying to get Barbie validation, right? And so there was this kind of battle between like everybody was named Barbie, everybody was named Ken because Barbie and there was Ken, regardless of how they look, it was Barbie and Ken. And so the Kens wanted to get Barbie validation because everything was ran by a Barbie. Like everything was ran like every doctor, every construction worker, it was all Barbie stuff. And so then one day they're having this party, and Barbie says out loud, "Does anybody know what it's like to die?" And everybody stops and looks at her like, "What?" And she's like, "Oh, I meant to say I'm dying to dance more." And so she was wondering why she was having these depression thoughts. Come to find out, I guess somebody in the real world that used to play with her stopped playing with her, and kind of had these thoughts about the sadness, depression, and things like that. So Barbie started to feel those same things. She had thoughts of cellulite. Her feet went from being like on her toes to flat. She didn't know what that was. So she ends up going to the real world. She takes Ken with her to the real world to see what's going on, like why she's feeling like this. Come to find out, in the real world, Barbie doesn't like it because it's like total opposite of what she knows. Because in her world, girls run everything, but in the world she's in, the reality, she sees it as a patriarchal world, which is really dumb to me because you had a scene where they're rollerblading in Los Angeles, and one guy slaps her on the butt, and I'm just like people don't really do that. Like the stuff that they made men out to be, they don't really do this stuff. Like I don't see this stuff when I'm out and about, and even in Los Angeles. I don't know how often it happens, but I don't hear about it like that. So in her perspective, this is a patriarchal world. So that actually made Ken more interested in that world because in his world he's a simp, but in this world he sees all the men working. They're in suits. They're construction. Like at one point, she walks up to these guys who are working. They're taking a break for construction, and she's asking the question, trying to get somewhere, and they're like, objectify her and things like that. And mind you, when those two are even rollerblading through Los Angeles, all the guys were objectifying her, but all the guys were like praising the man. And I'm just like, really? Like, come on. Like, wait, I don't, that just bothered me. It's like, okay, you're attractive. Who cares? Like, why is that? Why do women get so mad at that? They want to sit here and look good all the time, but then get mad when people actually look at them. Like,
hot take.
it's just really weird to me. It's like, but they made it seem like all the men were just pigs essentially. Like they're just objectifying women. Like there is not one good man. Matter of fact, I'll compare it to this movie real quick before I keep going. If you guys saw Enchanted with Amy Adams, same premise. This chick in the cartoon goes to the real world in New York And she didn't view the world as patriarchal. She just saw the world as it is. People working, busy, family, things like that. I actually met a decent dude. Like, it was a whole lot different. She didn't go into the reality and was like, oh my God, all these men are pigs. She went to the real world and saw, oh wow, it's a lot different from my world. And she was able to find the balance of men and women, like, be able to coexist, to work with each other. In the Barbie movie, she went into this reality and all the men were just misogynist, essentially. Like, there's a scene where Ken is watching these guys working, and the woman tries to walk up and talk to him. He goes, "Not now, Jill," and he's like talking to the guys, and it's just like nobody does that. Like, I've been to businesses. And I used to do Postmates. I've gone to businesses to drop off food. I don't see chicks being like, "Excuse me, sir, not now, Jill." So, Mark, like, I never see that. So that idea they're trying to put out there is, it's like they have this imagination that, like, every man is just bad. Like, they're all evil. They're all bad. It's like capitalism sucks. It's just so stupid to me. So Ken ends up learning about, you know, all the patriarchal ways, and to him, he thinks that men rule, and the whole world full of men and horses for some reason. He's like in the horses. I don't know why. So he takes what he learns and goes back to Barbie Land and changes Barbie Land to Ken World, calls it Kingdom, I guess. And so Barbie finds who her what do you call her person was that used to play with her, and it was this girl. She goes to this girl's school, and she's like, "Hey, I'm Barbie. I'm the one that you like. I'm perfect." And the girl goes, "Oh, you know, you're just a doll that looks so perfect just to capitalize for capitalism." And I'm like, "Oh, another communist." So it's just like, and then she called Barbie a fascist at one point. And I was just like, because she was basically saying that Barbie was so perfect that it made those girls kind of insecure about themselves because she was so perfect, and the fact that she was white and blonde. So
Right.
there's that. So then she ends up finding out that the mother was the one that used to play with her back in the day. It was like her memories and whatnot. She thought it was the daughter's memories. So the mother and the daughter go back with Barbie to Barbie Land, and then they find out that Ken changed it to a patriarchal world. So all the girls in Barbie Land became a lot more submissive to all the men. They were like serving them and things like that. And Barbie didn't like that because she was so used to her world. So again, rather than having a more complimentary saying, well, hey, maybe we can work together, versus having a world full of women like running things, we can maybe have both coexist in the way we can be complementary. But
When they became submissive, did the women in the theater start like revolting and like throwing their drinks at
no.
the screen?
Honestly, all the audience, like, they actually, so their reaction was never, you know, I don't know, they enjoyed the movie, but um when it did go to like all the hating men stuff, I can tell there was some kind of like kind of thing. Like, not like there were conservatives in there who was like, ugh, why are you doing that? It was just more like a like they see their point of view. Like, no one reacted in a way where it was like, yeah, men. They actually like was very chill. The audience was really, really chill. They laughed at all the jokes. Very chill audience. I'll give it that. But lots of people in there did look very liberal, especially the one that I was next to. The females I was next to, they look like pro-choicing, bro. I feel like they were chicks that would say "my body, my choice." Like, I just knew. So super weird. But so anyway, so but yeah, so they go back to
So,
Barbie Land.
what does
Oh,
Barbie do to counter that? What does Barbie do to counter the world that Ken made?
yeah. So what happens is that she starts to feel less of herself because she didn't think that she was worth nothing because Ken turned the world into a man's world and she didn't have no purpose. So she became very depressed and things like that. Um, and so she realized that the girls were brainwashed because she didn't understand what it was like. Her crying, she didn't understand what all that was like because it's like human emotions. And again, she's perfect, so she doesn't know what that's like. So when the girl that used to play with her basically gave this speech, she gave this whole speech about how this speech, man, I wish I could have like filmed this part of the movie and show you guys what the speech was. But basically she was saying that women don't have to be this stereotypical women. Like, you can be a girl boss, you can be this, you can be that. Just don't overdo it here. Don't be too emotional about that. You can be a mother, but don't talk too much about your kids. You can be a girl boss, but don't step on people's toes, and then you can assert yourself. But if you do too much, they'll say you're complaining. And the whole time I'm watching, I'm just like, it sounds like you're complaining. Like, it's like I'm just watching. I'm like, yeah, this is the kind of nagging I would not want to hear. Like, so
Yeah.
it was wild, man. So they find out that all the girls are brainwashed. Like they're all under the spell of the men serving them. So they have to. And then she comes up with this strategy to distract men. She's like, oh, you gotta play with their ego. You gotta ask them questions. And I guess they're watching The Godfather. And she's like, oh, you watching The Godfather? I never saw it. Like, you never saw it? And she goes, yeah, can you just rewatch it and talk to the whole thing and tell me about it? Like basically saying like they're dumb, like they're easily manipulated to just fall for that. And so the guys would talk to the girl, and then they would grab the other girl and then unbrainwash her with some feminist bullcrap, and then get them back to how they used to be. So because Kim was gonna make a whole new constitution to have like man rule, but the women got the constitution first. Yeah, and changed it back to females ruling. So they basically unbrainwashed all the chicks and got it back to normal, where the girls were back to ruling. They had the dream houses back, and then Kim was crying because he didn't know who he was without Barbie. And I was just like, bro, like
Kim was crying.
Yeah, yeah, it was.
So this movie, dude. Thank you for seeing this. I think I speak for everybody in here because I hate it.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I will say there were some funny parts. There were times I was like, okay, that's pretty funny. Like I was laughing. But at the same time, it's like this movie. I wish. Look, if you guys don't mind, and Nick, if you don't mind, I would love to play a video. There's this guy on YouTube named Critical Drinker. It's only 9 minutes long, but everything he says is so true. Like I'm breaking down the movie, but he puts it to a point where I can really like explain to you guys exactly what it is. I would love to show you guys that because he details it exactly how I am, but more precise. So if you guys don't mind, I would love to show you that because that would tell you everything about the movie. Now, I saw conservatives who, real quick, how it ended too. Basically, it ended with Barbie going to the real world, and the first thing she did was get a colonoscopy or something like that. Something like that. Or not colonoscopy or whatever females get, whatever they do. It was that.
It was a satire.
I don't know. It was a strange movie, but let me play it. 'Cause again, I'm breaking it down, but I gotta play it from Critical Drinker because he explains it perfectly how it was. So let me play this. And I gotta speed it up because YouTube actually quote unquote demonetize us or whatever or copyright us. It was so dumb. So our video was ineligible, whatever. So it was heck of dumb. So I gotta speed the video up a little bit.
See, we're pros over here. We figure these kind of things out. We've been struck once or twice before.
Okay.
Now, before I dive into this review properly, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge.
Hold on. I mean, honestly, we're not getting monetized necessarily. So I mean, I guess I can play normal speed. I don't want to. It's all good. If they copyright us, it's all good. It don't matter.
Sorry, YouTube, ahead of time. Yeah. Sorry in advance, YouTube.
I'll have to peel it anyway, so it comes out that we work things out. Okay, so here's that video here. I just want to show you guys real quick. So, what's up, K-Train? I didn't even see you in here. What's up, dude? Okay, so here's that review from Critical Drinker. Now, pay attention to what he says. He's saying what I'm saying, but just more precise.
Now, before I dive into this review properly, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the hard work and genius PR campaign of the Warner Brothers marketing department. You guys really pulled off a miracle with this one, successfully duping all of us, including me, into believing that Barbie was going to be just another colorful, light-hearted, easygoing family comedy with some cheeky, self-aware humor, ironic meta gags, and probably capped off with a blandly inoffensive female empowerment message about girls learning the value of their own potential. What none of us expected was 114 minutes of spiteful, bitter, mean-spirited, borderline unhinged hatred of men and everything even vaguely associated with them. Barbie is like the deformed, mutated rage child of Captain Marvel, Ghostbusters 2016, and She-Hulk.
So I'm an expert at controlling my anger because I do it.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
It is
Yeah.
pure brain cancer in movie form, and I was genuinely shocked by the sheer, undisguised contempt this film has towards 50% of the human population. Watching this film was one of the most miserable, demoralizing, unpleasant experiences I've ever had as a movie critic, and genuinely made me question where our
Oh,
society
hold on.
is heading.
Real quick.
Wow. Hot take.
That's the trans right there. That's the trans.
What? That's the
Yeah.
dude?
Yeah, that's the dude. That's
Oh my
the dude.
fucking God.
Crazy, right? All right.
Crazy, bro.
As a movie critic, and genuinely made me question where our society is heading. But the review must be done, and you know what Jack Burton always says at a time like this?
Old Jack always says, what the hell?
The movie begins with a rip-off homage to 2001: A Space Odyssey, where little girls discover Barbie for the first time and gleefully cast off their boring and oppressive baby dolls in an orgy of violence and destruction. And if the visual metaphor of little girls happily destroying the embodiment of motherhood to focus their lives instead on a shallow and materialistic piece of consumerist trash is lost on you, then I don't know what to say, man, but you're probably the target audience for this movie. Anyway, the film explains that all the Barbie and Ken dolls live together in Barbie Land, a kind of magical counterpart to the real world, which is portrayed as a peaceful feminist utopia where all the important jobs are done by the Barbies and the Kens just kind of exist. They've got no inherent value, they contribute nothing, they have no power or say in how their society is run, and they're basically looked down on as a bit silly and irrelevant by the Barbies. Oh my goodness, what could the writers possibly be trying to tell us about their views on men? Anyway, this is where we meet stereotypical Barbie, who's busy living her best life, partying with her friends and treating her boyfriend stereotypical Ken like absolute dog shit. Who's the hero of this thing again? Anyway, things suddenly change when Barbie starts experiencing emotional changes and physical flaws like flat feet and cellulites. See, because Barbie world is a reflection of the real world, the Barbie's appearances change depending on how their real life owner plays with them. Wait, what? Do you have any idea how many Barbie dolls must get broken or thrown in trash compactors or
Yeah,
set
well,
on
that
fire
movie.
or eaten by family pets every single day? Then the place would look like the Omaha Beach scene from Saving Private Ryan. At any moment, Barbies could suddenly get torn apart, or melted, or crushed right in front of their friends' eyes. Jesus, that's like a horrific existential nightmare. But I guess you're not supposed to think too much about that. Internal consistency in a movie like Barbie is rarer than a mainstream media outlet willing to give this movie an honest review. So the only solution is for Barbie to journey into the real world, find the girl who plays with her, and get her to be happy again. And Ken tags along for the ride because he's got nothing better to do than simp for Barbie. Unfortunately, the real world turns out to be an oppressive, patriarchal hellscape that's utterly dominated by men. Like, one guy literally walks up to Barbie and slaps her in the ass, in the middle of a crowded boardwalk, in broad daylight, in front of her boyfriends. Now, you might think that this would afford the writers a chance to demonstrate a little bit of nuance in their storytelling, maybe portray the real world as both good and bad, in sharp contrast to the simplistic, idyllic innocence of Barbie worlds. Kind of like in Enchanted, where the protagonist gets taken out of her cartoon homeworld and has to learn to navigate the complexities and difficulties of real life, ultimately growing and maturing as a person along the way. But then again, that movie actually had a likeable main character, a decent story, and wasn't written by people who despised half the human population. But nope, the real world and all the men in it are shown to be universally, irredeemably horrible. Because of course they are. Anyway, Barbie eventually finds the kid who plays with her, who turns out to be an asshole communist activist feminist that I think the movie wants us to empathize with, but fuck me, for the life of me I could not tell you why. Ken, on the other hand, discovers the patriarchy is very much to his liking, mainly because for the first time in his entire life, people actually show him basic respect and human decency. You know, sometimes I get the impression this film isn't saying what the filmmakers think it's saying. So when Barbie eventually returns to Barbie Land, she discovers to her horror that Ken has brought the patriarchy back with him and turned the whole place into a giant frat party in the space of like a day. Finally, a plot event I can get behind. It's kind of funny though, because it did make me question how the supposedly intelligent, empowered, and self-confident Barbies were so easily subjugated by Ken and the others. This is the kind of awkward little paradox that keeps coming up when you try to constantly portray women as strong, empowered, infallible, kick-ass girl bosses who can do anything and beat anyone, but you also need them to be helpless, oppressed victims of male domination. You can't have your cake and eat it. Not to worry though, because Barbie uses her newfound powers of feminism to free the other Barbies from the evil Ken's oppression, and because they're all dumb as fuck, she's able to trick them into fighting each other until eventually they just give up and surrender. Now, you might think that after all these wild swings between male and female domination, the logical way forward would be for Barbie Land to adopt a more equal system where both sides are given power and respect. Perhaps teaching the audience that for all our differences, men and women are both pretty awesome, and maybe we'd do well to work together instead of unfairly elevating one group above the other. But nope, the Barbies go right back to being in charge of everything again, and the Kens slide back into a meaningless, depressing existence of being irrelevant second-class citizens. And that, I think, is supposed to be a happy ending?
Fuck.
Honestly, I'm struggling to find the right words to properly express just how monumentally awful this film is. It's like a serial killer dressed in a Pikachu outfit. Superficially, it might look bright and cheerful and cute, but beneath the appealing facade, there's something genuinely horrible and sinister. This is a movie made by people who utterly despise men and masculinity, or any kind of traditional gender roles of any kind, and make absolutely no attempt to hide it. So you're a woman who wants to be a mother or a homemaker? Screw you, fascist! You're a man who wants to be assertive, ambitious, confident, and successful? Well, that clearly makes you a misogynist, don't you know? It's so fucking divisive and unnecessary. It's like they had a perfect opportunity to unify audiences behind a simple message of reconciliation and equal opportunity, but they just couldn't help themselves. They were so filled with rage and hatred and bitterness that it just had to come spewing out onto the screen. As far as this film's concerned, women are simply amazing, and men and everything they do are utterly irredeemably shit. They might be grudgingly tolerated provided they play by the rules, but they have no inherent value and can never be trusted with any kind of power or responsibility. And the only way to guarantee a peaceful and harmonious society is for women to be put in charge of everything and men to be docile, powerless servants who exist only to please them.
Not a great plan.
Wow, what an inspiring message for impressionable young girls. The thing is, none of this would have been quite so insidious if the marketing hadn't done everything in its power to keep it a secret. I mean, for all their faults, She-Hulk, Ghostbusters 2016, and Captain Marvel all wore their feminist hearts on their sleeves. You knew exactly what you were getting into when you went to see them. But Barbie really is a wolf in sheep's clothing, tricking people into watching it by promising one thing and delivering something very different. And I guess that's the thing that really struck me about this film. A lot of parents will have been duped into taking their daughters along to watch this movie, probably expecting the kind of breezy, colourful, family-friendly movie that was advertised, only to find themselves confronted with this spiteful, bitter, mean-spirited pile of misandrous dog shit instead. And I can't help but wonder how many future man-hating psychopaths are going to be created because of this film. It's not very often that I say this in my reviews, but if you're a parent and you're thinking about taking your kids along to see Barbie, then The Drinker recommends you skip this one and do literally anything else with them. Believe me, you'll thank me later. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
So he actually had a really good point. And the point that I like that he made was the fact that in the movie where they make women out to be these powerful women, but somehow they got duped to being submissive. It's a really great point, and that's what I'm saying. I want to read the comments real quick too. So I want to start with this comment here. Kimmy saying Michael Cera he was fun. He was. Michael Cera was the guy who played Superbad. He was in This Is the End. He was in Scott Pilgrim Saves the World or something like that. But Michael Cera, yeah, he was funny. He was the Barbie doll that was named Alan, like the only guy named Alan. So he wasn't really like the most attractive dude. So that he was funny in that part. KG says, but it's Greta Gerwig. Did you not expect a feminist movie? Now, I understand that because matter of fact, So Nick, remember how I told you before how in my area, Sacramento, it's a blue city, so it's like a lot of liberals here. Greta Gerwig is actually from Sacramento.
Checks out.
So there you go. Matter of fact, she's directing the Snow White movie. It's supposed to come out like either next year or 2025 or something like that. She's directing that movie, and the actress came out just I don't know how long ago it was, but very recently. Basically, her and Gal Gadot, the woman who played Wonder Woman, they both said that in this new Snow White version, it's going to be a modern version of Snow White where she doesn't get saved by the prince. Like she's not looking for the love. She's going to basically she's going to go from not being rescued to being this leader that she has to be. So she's basically going to be a girl boss. So it's like it's just so stupid. Like the story of Snow White. I mean, there's a reason why her name was Snow White because her face was white as snow. Why they called her Snow White. And so they changed her to a Latina, and now she's not going to be rescued by the prince. She's going to be finding her own pathway to be a leader. It's like
Snow White.
Yeah, she's a Latina. This is what they do, man.
Oh man.
Muppet said this would be a fun film to be in. I bet. Yeah, I mean, I would say to that, like the aesthetics of it, like the color, the choreography, like I could tell it looked like a fun movie. But what do you do when you're in a movie that's so woke like that, and you go along with it and you agree with it, like you side with it? You know what I mean? So it's like. It just kind of goes to show what these people think. A lot of these people in Hollywood, they're very liberal because they go along with stuff like that, thinking that there's this patriarchal society that's ran by men. And that's the thing is that I understand it's supposed to be this complimentary, but what is so wrong of a country that's ran by mostly men? What's wrong with that? If we're always told that we're supposed to be leaders, we're supposed to provide, we're supposed to protect, then what is so wrong if there was a country made up of mostly men? We're supposed to be all these things, so shouldn't we have mostly men?
Bro, men built this fucking country that they have the privilege to talk shit on it in.
That's what I'm saying. It's like men go to war and yet they get top.
Men gave them the right to vote, which, by the way, man, that was a mistake. We should take it back. Also, we've done a lot for them that they just, it goes unacknowledged in the patriarchy, the toxic patriarchy bullshit. But imagine, the best point he made was, imagine being a dad and you naively take your daughter, little girl, thinking it's going to be a freaking Barbie movie or some shit. And it ends up being that.
Yeah. I know. And see, this is the reason why with my daughter, she likes movies too, but she totally can see the bull crap that's in these movies. Like she's not for it. She doesn't mind like whatever, like she supports, that all that stuff. But at the same time, when she sees it in TV shows, she's like, it just completely turns her off. She's like, I don't like this. It just looks dumb. You know what I mean? I remember one time I took her to go see Logan, because that was the Wolverine movie, and that was rated R. And I remember because that had to do with like the kind of father-daughter relationship, because there was a clone that was made with Wolverine's DNA, and there was a girl, and she was called X-23, and he didn't know that was a clone of her. Once he found out, they kind of had this relationship. It was almost like father-daughter. So I took her to go see that. She was like really young, and she loved that movie. Like she liked the character because it wasn't like she was trying to upstage Wolverine. They both were pretty dope, great fight scenes. Like she loved that. But if I took her to go see this Barbie movie, she'd probably roll her eyes. Like she'd roll her eyes back so much she'd be blind.
Well, I'm glad you didn't take her. At first, I thought that's like the reason you went, but you went for us without her. That was smart.
Yeah, and normally, and mind you, I don't ever go to the movies. I always wait until they go online and I watch it that way. But I wanted to really get the aesthetics of like really watch it for what it is. I never go to the movies unless it's like a major event, like something like for example, Spider-Man No Way Home, when they had the extended version, which is really good in my opinion. I went to the theaters to go see that. It was cheap too. It's only like $2 for the extended version. I was like, I'm down to see that.
Well, Julius, was Barbie like at all like, was it like a PG-13 movie or was it like an R? Like what kind of Barbie were they portraying? Was she being sexually suggestive and all that shit?
I would say PG. I would say PG.
At least they did that right.
Yeah, there's no curse word. Well, back in the day, PG used to be PG-13 because if you look at like Ghostbusters in 1984, that was a PG movie, but he got a blowjob in that movie by a ghost. So
No, I forgot about that.
yeah, I mean, so I would say it's PG, but the slap in the butt, and there's one scene where the black chick said "mother effer," but it bleeped the word out. So I would still say it's PG. Again, my problem with that movie is that there was no complimentary. There was no equality. It was like either women are good, men are bad. There is no like men can be good in this aspect. They can be bad in this aspect. One of the lines that the daughter did say in that movie, she did say that we're in a time where women hate women and men hate women, things like that, right? She did say that, so there was that line of like women also hating women, but it was so subtle that they didn't really dive in that. She just said it and then just went on to the next scene. So I can understand that aspect because we kind of are in that time where there is kind of this battle between men and women. But to say use the word hate, I mean, it's just like, it's a lot. Again, my issue is just that there is no resolution on how to be complimentary. If you have a Barbie land where women run everything and then the men are kind of just sidelined, and then he brings patriarchal to Barbie land, how do you balance that? Instead, they just took all the girls and unbrainwashed them and put them back to how it used to be, versus being like, hey, there's nothing wrong with serving a man if he's your husband, but we can also still be individuals. Like, I wouldn't mind that. But instead, it's just, no, you're brainwashed. You shouldn't serve men. We got to rule the world again. This is Barbie land. Like, I just didn't like that. So they have to uplift one and then push the other one down. And that's what I don't like about it. Matter of fact, this is the second movie that I would argue that Margot Robbie was in where they did that. Because Birds of Prey did the exact same thing. They uplift all the women and then downplay all the men. I mean, there's literally a scene where she beat up all the cops in the movie Harley Quinn, or the movie Birds of Prey. She beat up all the cops. And they all had guns, but she knocked them out easily. I'm just like, they were all dumb. Like, they didn't know what to do. And at one point, they ran from her. And I was like, come on, bro. Like, that would never happen in real life. She'd be dead before she can get one swing. For that. So, I don't know. It's just ridiculous. I want to read this comment, too. KG said, people need to research directors before blindly seeing the movie and being shocked. I wasn't shocked at all. I usually do research on who's directing, things like that. But I'm always still curious to know what the message is. Like, I'm curious to know, like, is this going to be a fun film or is it going to be, like, what is the exact message? And I saw the message. The message was, girls are awesome, men are stupid, I don't need no man. Like, that was the message. I don't need no man. Women can do it all. They can be mothers. But what's so funny, I want to talk about this real quick, Nick, is that when women, right, the way just from this movie's aspect, they make it seem that everything they do is wrong and that it's so hard to be a woman. And my thought process was, well, it's because you're trying to take on everything like a man. That's why it may feel so hard to you, because you're trying to do this, you're trying to do that, construction, da-da. And I don't think that they like the fact that they are, not saying that they totally are, but just on this aspect, it doesn't seem like they're okay with just being mother. That they don't, you know what I mean? Like, that they don't like motherhood. They gotta do everything. There's nothing
Worse than
wrong.
that, motherhood's shamed.
Yeah.
Motherhood's shamed. Like, dude, being a mom is the most important job in the world, and it's made out to be like a subservient class or something nowadays.
Yeah.
Flavor.
And that's, yeah, and that's why when women when you use the word like obey your husband, or they use the word bondage, they act like it's like you got a ball and chain, you can't go nowhere. You got to stay home and carry the kid in your arms for 18 years. It's like, no, there's actually a lot more freedom to being a stay-at-home mom. Now, as an individual woman, I have no problem with women working. Like, if you're an individual woman and you're single, you should work. You get the opportunity to work, go make your money, do this and that. I'm fine with that. I think when you get with somebody and you want something long-term, like a family, you got to make some sacrifices and some changes, because you want your kids to grow up in this world where they can have value from the parents and not from the government. Do you know what I mean? So that's why when they put them in public schools or preschools and things like that, these teachers who are leaning a lot more liberal are teaching these kids you can be different genders, you can paint your nails, It's like they're teaching these kids this, and then they go home to their parents and say, "Mommy, I'm a girl, even though I'm a boy." Oh, well, I got to put you on puberty blockers. Let's go to Big Pharma. And now they're getting puberty blockers. Next thing you know, they're chopping off their penises, chopping off their breasts. And that's how far it's gotten. So I'm not saying it's every case, but there are cases out there like that. So to me, this all goes back to the fact that I don't think that women like the fact that they're reduced down to just carrying a baby and being the mother, right? So, but again, it's like they're trying to do so much. They say it's so hard to be a woman. I don't think it is. I mean, I don't know what it's like to be a woman, but I'm saying just like logically speaking, I don't think it is, because it's like if you're trying to take on so much stuff and then think you're wrong for doing it, what you're doing is you're playing victim. You're like, I'm doing all this stuff, but somehow I'm still wrong. And it's like, yeah, now you're playing victim. How about just do one thing at a time? You know what I mean?
Welcome to equal rights, ladies. I mean, it sucks being a man out here, man. What can I say?
That's what I'm saying. You wanted this, right? You wanted equality. You marched in the streets. You protest against Donald Trump, called him pussy grabber. You want your equality, gender pay gap. You did all this protest, and now it's so hard. But you wanted this. This is what I'm talking about. It's
I
like,
don't have much pity.
have you ever seen a men's march? Like, have you ever seen a men's march about complaining? No, you see women's marches. And when you do see women march for something good, it's like pro-life, and that's fine. But the women's march about, like, with the pink pussy hats, those females are out saying, we want equality, we want equality. You have a right to free speech to say that. In other countries, you be dead.
Maybe we should take that. We should take that right back. But did you see One Tough Mothers? She got a question for both of us.
She said, have either of you held or played with a Barbie or a Ken doll? No. Never have. But when I was younger, I used to live at this little daycare. They did have those toys for kids to play with. But I never played with them. I actually had a G.I. Joe action figure one time. My dad used to have a G.I. Joe military action figures. So what I used to do was, when I was like, I think like maybe 10, 11, I used to take the G.I. Joe. They had beards. I used to like use the clippers to like cut the beards and like line them up. I was trying to learn like how to be a barber. So that's what I was doing.
I regrettably have played with Barbie and Ken. The neighbor across the street from me and her older sister were like cute girls that like forced me into kind of doing it against my will, if you will. I would do it. And then also I have a younger sister too, so I would obviously like set up Ken fucking Barbie and stuff in uncomfortable positions and stuff like that when I had the opportunity with her dolls. But like that's about all my experience.
I mean, not gonna lie.
Hey, you do what you gotta do when you're a kid, you know.
Oh, they put a gun to your head. Play with this Barbie doll now, Nick. I don't wanna.
Shay, Sam, if you're watching, I want you to speak up on what the torture you guys used to put me through.
K-Train said, if you want to see a rated R Barbie, watch Wolf of Wall Street. Good point, because she was dressed like more of a Barbie doll, the pink and things like that. So good point. Yeah, I never played with the Barbie doll. Again, we had the toys and things like that when I was in daycare, but I never like actually like took a doll and play with it. Again, the only doll I played with was the G.I. Joe action figure, because I was always like cutting the hair and shaving the beards and things like that. Jules says the Ken doll, the original Enoch, has got no D and no balls.
Hot take.
Atana says Snow Brown and illegal aliens. Muppet said only women say that. Only women say what exactly?
Like the marching, I think, is what we were talking about when she said that.
Oh, okay. Atana says, did the iconic Barbie play the? Oh no, they didn't play it. No, there was a soundtrack from Nicki Minaj. I think it was from the one that her and Ice Spice did. But
wait, they didn't play Barbie Girl?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was actually, I'm not gonna lie, I was actually shocked by that. Like that they didn't like at least play like somewhere in the movie, or like when it went to like the real world. I was surprised like nobody was like playing it.
Yeah,
So I was
missed
like,
opportunity.
that's interesting. Well, so what I've learned now, I mean, you're right about that. But what I've learned now is that with stuff like that, it costs money. So they probably couldn't get the rights to play it. I'm learning that
They
more
could
and
have
more.
shelled out. It's the Barbie movie.
But even that costs money. It's really crazy. Like, I'm learning more and more that like even the smallest things cost a lot of money to do. Like I was watching this show called Smallville, and there's an episode where they wanted to use Johnny Cash for the background music because it was like perfect with the scene. And they had this other song, but it just didn't fit right. So they went through hoops just to get the Johnny Cash song, and it cost a lot of money to do so. And I was like, that's crazy that like they have to do all that just for like a 10-second background song. It's crazy.
Yeah, they gotta pay all that shit. That's for sure.
Muppet said it's hard being women.
That's what she's saying. That's only women say. It's hard being women. I'll take
Okay, I mean, so again, I don't know what it's like to be a woman. The only thing that I can like just logically think of how it can be hard is like what they go through each month. Do you know what I mean? Like going through the period.
It wouldn't be so hard if they just submitted to the support of a good man.
Well, and I understand what you're saying. I'm talking about as far as like bodily functions, like what they go through, like the menstrual cycle, the periods, and things like that. Even with pregnancy, like all the things they go through with that. Like there's things that their body, there's like a process with their bodies and whatnot. So that's where I can see it could be difficult because they go through those things again, the cramps and things like that. So I get where that can be difficult, but as far as being the soulmate to somebody else or being an individual, the only way that I can, so I'll play devil's advocate, right? The only way that I can see it's hard is because of the fact that I think they know that one of their biggest attributes is their beauty, right?
Bro, I was just gonna say that's the payoff that you have to pay for having titties
or vagina, because some don't have.
That's what I mean. Like that's all a fucking cash value commodity, literally valuable. Like so again, I just don't have much pity. Ladies, I'm sorry. You're not garnering much pity for me these days, ladies.
Yeah. Well, now they're saying that the men in the red pill space that they're complaining as much as women because they're saying that women have it on easy mode. And that's what's so funny too is that I do often hear that they're now saying that the men are just as complaining as the women, which I can understand, but at the same time, it's just that it almost sounds like you're basically telling men we shouldn't be able to speak up on that. And that's why.
Of course, they're going to shame us if we have like some critique of the woman behavior. But I mean, there are some cringe shit from the red pill when they're always just complaining and stuff like that. I would say that we shame men all the time over on this side of the aisle. So we don't fall victim to that. We shame everybody that needs it. But
yeah, I just always find that interesting to me because we always talk about men's mental health and men got mental health and things like that. Okay, so when a man is like expressing himself based on what he's going through mentally, then we shame him for that. But yeah, we want to say men's mental health matters, but it doesn't matter when we have an opinion about women.
Very interesting, bro. That's topical to me.
So it's interesting stuff, man. It almost comes off as we're not allowed to say anything because we're men, and that's where the sexism comes in. We aren't supposed to say nothing. It's like they treat us like LeBron James. Just shut up and dribble. I mean, just shut up and dribble. Don't have an opinion. Don't say nothing. But yet women can say everything about us. You're patriarchal. You're misogynist. You hate women. Your girlfriend left you. Your baby mom left you. Whatever the case, they want to throw the attacks. They just do that. It's like we're not allowed to say anything, but they can say everything. And it's like that's interesting to me because what gives you, what makes you so entitled to say everything to us? But we say one little thing, like for example, they say you're supposed to protect, you're supposed to provide, you're supposed to whatever they say, and we say, well, hey, we want you to be submissive. Oh, hell no, we want to be submissive. You want to control us? Well, you just told me I have to do all these things. I'm just asking for one thing. I gotta be people for you, protect, provide, and leadership. And all I'm asking for is one. Are you asking 3 things out of me? I'm asking one thing from you.
Well, how could you protect or lead somebody who's not subservient?
Yeah.
Think about it. Like ladies, that's actually something you should really be asking yourself in your head. If I'm not willing to submit to a worthy man, and that's the criteria, by the way, a worthy man. I don't think you should just go submitting to any loser out there that like presents himself in a way. You should determine he's worthy to submit to, and then if you're not willing to submit to that, how's your relationship going to look? Are you cool with not having a leader or a protector? Because for him to be able to do those things effectively, he needs you to submit to his leadership. Like sometimes he's got to be able to say like, "Babe, duck," and you don't. Oh, why should I duck? Just duck, because like something was coming at your head, and you just got your head blown off. Like, just listen to me. I'm not just telling you to do shit for no reason.
Yeah, I agree. Caleb says you can't be outraged by degeneracy and the crippling of Christian values across America and gender social roles, and then not research what you're showing in front of your kids. I agree with that. Here's my thing. He was also saying this. He was also saying, "I'm sorry, I just can't give conservative parents a break on this one. Everyone knows Hollywood is F, and you have to take their kids to see these movies. They know have leftist ideology and are written by people who don't respect their values." I didn't take my kid to go. I almost was going to ask my daughter if she wanted to go see it because she knows the wokeism stuff. That's why I didn't take her. But I was like, I don't think she wanted to like see all that, so I didn't take it. Maybe she wanted to, maybe she didn't, but. Nonetheless, I could tell that she's not really about all that wokeism stuff. So I only saw it because I watch movies all the time. I mean, Nick, you know this too. I watch movies whether they're woke, good, bad, doesn't matter. I still watch it to see what is presenting to the audience and how we can correct that by being honest and say, hey, this Barbie movie is not what it is in reality. I mean, I don't see men just walking up and slapping chicks on the butt. Like, I don't see that.
I'm going to start doing it.
Yeah. I know that's what happens. It's just so dumb. And nor have I gone to businesses and seen a bunch of guys talking, and then a chick walks up and the guy goes, "Hold on, Jill," and he's like talking.
I'm gonna start doing that too.
Yeah, I know. It's like this is what they want, and might as well just give it to them, right?
That's what I'm saying, Julius. Give them what. If we're the bad guys already, we might as well get to enjoy the little perks of being the bad guy. I'm gonna start behaving that way. If we're already that, what the hell?
The only thing I would just say about that movie was that it just really bothered me to see the guy pretending to be a woman, and then they like treat him like he's a. It was just so weird. I'm like, I wanted to scream so loud and be like, "That's a dude!" Like just so loud.
What was his name? Darby.
I know. No, I mean, so yeah, they were all named Barbie, but I'm like, bro, he should have been named Ken.
Dude, Darby.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, I wanted to just out loud be like, "That is a dude." I want the whole crowd to like rampage on me.
Yeah.
I fight everybody off. It's a dude.
Hey, you said to your daughter, you don't think she's into all that woke stuff. That's a proud dad moment, huh?
Yeah, I mean, because matter of fact, she actually came to me about this one time. We were talking over the phone like months ago, and she was telling me that like she likes to watch TV shows, but like she doesn't mind like people who are LGBT whatever, but she doesn't like the fact that it's always pushed in these TV shows with no context behind it. And that's what she was telling me essentially. It's like, so for example, there's a show called Young Justice, a superhero show, and the first 2 seasons there's a guy named Aqualad, regular dude, had a crush on this girl, but then something happened, like a 5-year gap, and this girl got with this other guy, and he was like, "Dang, I lost this chick because of it." Then in 3rd season, he was just gay. Like out of nowhere, he was just gay. And it was like there's no context behind that. So it's like I don't like why is he gay? Like in fact that he's black too, like that making black and gay. So yeah, I was just like, there's no context behind why he's gay. He was just gay. Like out of nowhere, he's just gay. There was nothing hinted at it before. There was no relation. It was just he was gay out of nowhere. And that's what I'm talking about. That's what she doesn't like. When it's just like it's just gay for no reason. Or it's just gay for no reason. You know what I mean? So Latana said, "Did you guys see Oppenheimer?" I want to see it. I may or may not go see it. I don't know. I might go see it this week. It might be online actually. I'm gonna just do a quick little peek real quick. I'm just gonna peek real quick to see if it's online and not. If it is, I'll just watch it online.
What is that? What's Oppenheimer?
Oppenheimer is basically the movie. Barbie's on there. and it's HD. Oh wow! I could
have saved your $12.
crazy. The same day I go to see it, now it's on. Okay, it wasn't there this morning. I checked this morning, and it wasn't there.
Mm.
Otherwise, I would just cancel my ticket and saw it. But now it's on the website.
Of course.
Isn't that crazy? I checked too. Before I left, I checked, and it wasn't there. I said, we can go ahead and go see it. Now it's there in HD. In HD, mind you.
Julius is nerding out. He's not happy about that $12.
I want my $12 back, damn it. Go march down to the movie. It's online. Like, sir, how you watching it online?
Oh, did I say
I
that?
don't know where I'm at. I'm blind.
Hey, he's black. Let him go. Let him go. You see what Kimmy said? Men feel entitled to touch women just because they think they can. Then there's someone like me who fights.
I don't know about that. I don't like. What do you mean, like to touch? Like define touch women. I'm serious. Like, matter of fact, we gave you guys the link to come on here and talk about it. Come join us and talk about it. Let's have a conversation.
Please, post the link out again. Post the link out.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Come on the show and talk about it. I would love to have this dialogue. There's the link. You guys should come in here and talk about this with us. It'd be a really good conversation. Okay, real quick to your question, Oppenheimer. I think Oppenheimer is basically about when they created the nuclear war.
Atom bomb.
Yeah, I believe it was for World War I. I think, if not World War II, something like that. Kimmy said, "I want to be on camera." You can actually, you don't have to be on camera. You can actually. So look, Kimmy, you can do this right here. You can do that, and then it'll just show you talking like how I'm talking. It'll just do just like that. So you can come on here and just have a conversation and just turn your camera off. As long as we can hear you, it's all good.
Yeah.
So kind of like
Instagram or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like Instagram or like Discord. So just a guy grabbed my ass. So I would love to know more detail on that.
Did he get himself a handful, Kimmy? What happened?
Yeah, what exactly happened? You know what I mean? Did he just walk up and grab it? Were you wearing something? I'm not saying it's your fault for wearing it, but I'm just saying sometimes one thing leads to another.
Listen, I'd like to know more detail on that.
I'm serious. No, because sometimes people say no offense, Kimmy. People say things. When you get the full context, you go, "That's why he got dressed." Like, you know what I'm saying? So Jules says, "Hey, I want to do a social experiment, smacking that A in public to see people." Okay, yeah, we'll get in trouble for that.
I might be doing that.
That we'll definitely get in trouble for that one. If we did that, we'll be arrested. But I guarantee you, if women did it, you know what's funny? That would be a good social experiment to watch a woman go smack a man's butt and watch. Like, some men might react to go, oh, hey. But then we do it. It's like, woo.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Your back, sir.
Absolutely, we wouldn't get away with that one.
Watch your head. I'm telling you, dude.
You just gave me flashbacks, man. I was like, oh.
I was only in a cop car one time, only because my car broke down, and the officer wanted to know where I was going, and he put me in the back of the car. I was like, "Dang, this is a little cramped up back here." Okay, so we got
cramped up back there.
We got Kimmy on here. What up, Kimmy?
Why isn't this on my YouTube app? I'm over here in my web browser on my phone.
That's how we have to do it.
Yeah.
This is ghetto. YouTube need to get it together.
Well, StreamYard's the standard.
Yeah, we're using StreamYard, so it's pretty. That's how it is.
From what I hear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think YouTube does that. I don't think YouTube can bring on other people like that. I haven't seen it. If I haven't seen anybody do it, if I could find out how to do it, it would be probably the first ones.
Well, welcome, Kimmy. About that ass grabbing.
Yeah, no, I'm curious to hear the story. You said men felt entitled to touch women. You said that you had a situation, and I don't want to downplay a situation. I'm actually curious to know, like, what actually happened that made him do that. Like, what was the
catalyst? What made him do it?
Because he wanted the club. Like, did he just like see you?
Yeah, I was at the club at the bar ordering something, and I felt somebody grab my ass. I turned around so quick. I was like, "What the fuck?" I don't know what I can say on here, But
Yeah, you can say whatever,
anyway,
pretty much.
No, you can say whatever. It's right to free speech for us over here. We don't censor anybody. I don't curse like that, but you want to go ahead and knock yourself
Did he
out.
get a whole handful? Did he get a big squeeze?
I felt like my left cheek was getting grabbed on, and I didn't know if it was one of my friends or something. And he talking about something. Oh, you the baddest one in here. If I want to grab your ass, I can. And I was like, do you want to get punched in your throat right now? Cause I don't know why the fuck you just touched me. I don't like that shit. And then even like men that aren't like grabbing your ass type shit, the ones that move past you and grab you on by your waist or by your hips, that shit's weird.
I bet
Like
a
it's
lot of dudes do
normalized.
that. I bet a lot of dudes get a cheap cop on the way passing you or something.
Yeah,
That's
that's what they do, and I've seen it happen to other women. Like a woman in front of me, she was walking. I didn't even know her. Like, and this guy just grabs her ass, and like she's like moving to like it's a crowded area, so she couldn't even like interact with this person for even doing that disrespectful ass shit. I almost put my hands on him because I hate men like that, and I think maybe it's just men at the club. They
I was
feel
gonna.
all
Okay,
this.
that's what I was just gonna say because when you said men feel entitled to just touch women, I don't think men on average do that unless they're in a place where they think it's okay, like the club. I would argue that if women go now, I'm not condoning it whatsoever. No man should be doing that. I'm gonna sound like one of those dudes, but no man should be doing that, especially at a club. But I would argue if you go to the club, you gotta at least expect that there's going to be some inappropriateness because people at the club are there to try to get some and things like that. It doesn't make it right, but these are the cons going to the club. But on average, I don't think men are out there just like for example, in the Barbie movie. Well, I was gonna say in the movie that like to compare in the Barbie movie, the guy just goes up to her and slaps the butt in broad daylight. I don't see those things happening. I've been outside enough to see that does not happen in broad daylight. I
So
haven't seen it.
I believe it would happen, and even if they don't even have to put their hands on you to be as vulgar as, saying like, grabbing your ass. Like I've walked around like in broad daylight, and a guy just be like, "Oh, big chi chis," or like they'll say something super inappropriate like out
But,
loud and think
but
it's okay.
saying one thing and doing it two different things. People can say things every single time. People
I
say
don't
things
know.
all the time, but to actually do it, that's what I'm saying. I don't think on average men are not out there just grabbing women's butt just like willy nilly on broad daylight. But at the club, I can see where there's inappropriateness because men are trying to get some. Again, I don't agree with that. I don't condone it. I think those men are just way too horny and need to stop doing that because that's not leadership right there. That's weakness, in my opinion. The fact that you allow a chick's physique to like get you like so, I just gotta grab it. Like it turns you into that kid from Sandlot. It's like oil, lotion, oil. I just can't help it, and then like he just goes after her. So I don't agree with that, but. On average, men are not doing that unless it's in a place like a club, and that's what they tend to do stuff like
Depending
that.
on how you were looking that night, Kimmy, I might grab a feel.
See, and then you would have got socked in the throat
I'm
too.
just kidding, girl. I'd
Let me
never do
let me
that.
let me let me read this comment quick. Caleb says, "Julius, stop it! Come on, a woman being at the club or a man doesn't open the door to be assaulted. This is why I tell everyone Second Amendment. People should get their hands to themselves." I literally said that. I don't condone it. What I'm saying is that when you're at the club, you gotta expect it's going to be inappropriate because people drink too much or they get there by their friends, like the pressure. Whatever the case, whatever excuse may be, it doesn't excuse the fact that a man should do that. But when you go to the club, you're gonna have to expect some inappropriateness from male or female. I mean, I've gone to the clubs, women walk up to me, like, "Oh, who are you?" And I'm just like, I'm cool. I'm just kind of hanging out with my friends. I don't need to be doing all that. So it happens. But that's how when you go to the club, you deal with people who are inappropriate. But on average, men are not just going around just touching women. Now they might have a sense of entitlement at the club, but on average, they're not just going around slapping chicks on the booty. I mean, again, I've been outside enough. I've been across the country in 2022 to see that men don't do that. It's on average, they're not just slapping chicks' butt for the sake of doing it.
I'm
So,
gonna start doing
Now,
it.
next, I'm going to start.
Who said that?
what?
Oh
I'm
man,
gonna start doing it.
Rock.
Now, just because I'm not a victim to it or can't recall an instance where it has happened in broad daylight doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
But it may there's a possibility that it may happen, but it's not like it's on average. Again, I agree with you. Men are not entitled to do that. Both male and female don't have no kind of entitlement. So I agree with you that the men shouldn't do that. But I think on average, like again, to compare the Barbie movie, I don't see men just going around. I mean, I was outside not so long ago when I was doing a street interview. I didn't see men going around slapping chicks on the booty. Like I didn't see that. Like no man is just doing that. You know what I mean? We got somebody here. Shauna.
It's
that's
Muppet.
Muppet.
Oh, what's up?
What's
I don't
up?
know
The family's in the house now. What's up, ladies?
What's up?
You just doxing yourself.
Right?
Oops.
Put the real name. Should have been Muppet.
I've definitely had women.
Well, it is. I don't know why it has my first and last because you saw Muppet Pastor, so I don't know.
Yeah. So next is to put your social security number. So what are your thoughts on Kimmy saying that men feel entitled to touch women, and do you agree or disagree that it's not? I don't think it's happening on average that men are just going around just slapping chicks in the booty or anything inappropriate like that. I don't see it. I think we all been outside enough. I haven't seen it, but let me know what you think, Muppet.
Yeah, I would have to agree with Kimmy.
So you think it's happening daily?
For sure, especially like if you're out at the nightclub, 100%. I don't think there was one time that I was at the club and my ass did not get touched.
But you said nightclub. I'm talking about everywhere. Like the nightclub. Like this is what I said earlier.
Yeah, I would still say yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And where exactly is it happening at besides the nightclub?
Sure, if like somebody's walking down the street, anywhere really. Maybe even at a coffee shop.
I haven't heard about this.
I think it happens more than you think, like honestly.
I've been outside enough to not see it happening. I mean, I'm only in California. And I was across the country all 2022. I went to different states and I went to a lot of different food places and things like that, explored everywhere. I didn't see it. I mean, I literally traveled across the country in 2022 and I did not see it in all the states I was in. I went to fast food places, I went to restaurants. I never saw a guy acting inappropriate. Like in all the states I went to, even when I was in Washington, I never saw a guy act inappropriate. So I disagree. I don't think it's happening on a daily. I think, yeah, in clubs and things like that, it may be happening because guys there trying to get some. And again, it's not right for them to do, but they're a bunch of horny.
Well,
dudes.
have you ever thought that maybe they're just like trying to be discreet about it?
Yeah, it's probably not like a loud and public thing sometimes. Like,
how do they do it, ladies? Because I'm going to start doing it. I need to get my technique down.
Like just because you didn't notice it, or it doesn't have to happen right in front of you.
Right.
So would you also say that sometimes women bring it on themselves because they don't?
No, because I don't know. I think men need to keep their hands to themselves.
You don't think that females are trying to be discreet about how they dress by pushing their tits up for guys to look?
Wow, my tits sit up high regardless. What do you mean?
But there's still ways to cover up, though. I'm not saying
work uniforms.
I'm not condoning it. What I'm just saying is that, like, I just disagree that it's happening on a daily. I don't think it's happening like that. Even if it was like a discrete thing, I would say if it's happening, it's a very, very small percent, but it's not the majority. It's such a small minority.
I mean, of course, a lot of things are always not going to be the majority. Julius,
right? So then my argument still stands that it's not happening on a daily.
I mean, it could still happen on a daily, but it's not like probably like majority all men do this. I'm not going to try to say that.
Right. So when you say that men feel entitled, but you only bring up because you and Muppet only brought up the club. I mean, and then you guys started saying maybe it happens at the coffee shop, maybe it happens here. It was a maybe for everything else, but it was a for sure at the club, which I would argue the club is a bunch of horny people and men do things that's really stupid. So that's why, like, even sorry, what I was gonna say, even when I see men, like when I go do my street interviews, when I see men like breaking their necks and like chasing the chick to go talk to her, I'm like, why is he doing that? I'm like, bro, like take your horniness and like keep it in
Sorry
your
about that.
No, you're all good. Caleb said
they could have been having like a day party on the beach and he still could have been like, drinking and still did that, and that would not have been a club. That would just been
Sure. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying I don't think it's a majority. I think it's a small minority. But that's not to like diminish it or downplay it. Real quick.
I'm
Sorry,
sorry.
Real quick. Caleb said, "How many men are accused of sexual assault, groping, etc., versus convicted?" Yeah, I get that, but I would argue that both sides are guilty of that. I mean, and just recently, just this year alone, how many 30-year-old women have been raping 16-year-old boys? And you got most men saying, I wish that was me in high school. Like, it's okay for sexual assault for a woman. I'm not condoning for a man, but they always want to put the man in the wood chipper. But the female, they go, I wish that was me in high school. Like, so you're okay with a pedophile as long as she's a female and she's hot?
I think it's just a play on words. I don't really speak like that. I'm not going to say, well, specifically men at the club do this, because I just know
That's what you
my
said, though.
instances. And then I'm not trying to ever say that women don't do these things, because women have done that to me too, and they're more aggressive. They feel like, because I am a female, we're both females, that they can do that.
So then, so then, is it fair to say that both men and women feel entitled when they're at the club? It's not like an average thing happening daily. It's just
people are gonna feel entitled.
No, I feel like it's a daily occurrence.
But where's your proof of that, though?
I just feel like you wouldn't be able to tell. I feel like men are very discreet when it comes to touching women. Like, you can stand very close behind a woman and just like pinch her ass, like.
But I haven't seen it though. Like I've been,
because they're discreet about it. You're not gonna see it.
I observe. I'm a pretty observant person. I just don't see it.
Oh my
I've
gosh.
seen men in line. Like, I'm very like observant to everything going on. And I just never seen the guy like go sniff or.
So, ladies, how often throughout your life is this happening? Would you say it's like once a month, once a year, once a week?
Or like in general?
Yeah.
I would say every day.
So wait, okay. So every day your ass is getting grabbed. Every day.
I'm not saying with me. I don't have an ass to grab. I think someone did touch me out in public, not necessarily like the nightclub. But yeah, I would say that it's more so at the nightclub, but I think it has happened to me one time just out in public.
But
and
like,
I was like so taken back by it. I didn't even know what to say.
Hold on.
Because they catch you off guard.
You should say thank you.
Oh my gosh.
So you said that it happened to you. Okay, if you're saying that men feel entitled, right? And again, the topic, the whole of this conversation was Kimmy saying men feel entitled. I agree. I don't think men should do that. But when I'm asking how often it happens, Muppet, like this
you should say however, not but, because but just kind of takes away everything you were just saying.
Anyways,
just saying. However,
as I was saying,
you're saying that it happens, like you think it happens all the time, but you say it only happened to you once. How many times do you go to the club?
I mean, I used to go to the club all the time when I was young.
I mean, how often do you go to the club now?
I'm in bed at like 12 o'clock. Like never.
Okay, so, but have you gone to the club like a lot this year, a couple times this year?
No, I haven't been in the club in like 10 years.
So the last time you went to the club 10 years ago, 10 years ago. You see how I'm starting to unravel the story here? You see how it's like starting to come full circle?
So ladies, in your
but what I'm saying is that if I were to go to the club tonight, somebody would be grabbing my damn ass.
I mean, we don't know.
It doesn't matter where it's happening, right? Like, it's still happening. It's still a problem.
But no, just in daily life, like in general, like how often would you say this has happened to you? Like a monthly thing, a yearly thing, one time ever, or?
Well, I'm usually busy and working a lot, but when I go to the club. I'm not saying that it happened every single time, but I would say like within 6 months, it could have probably happened. It's hard. But I guess in my daily life, in the 6 months that I've been to the club, it's probably happened at least 3 times.
Let's say outside of the club. Like, how often does it happen outside of a club?
Why are we excluding the club?
Well, I'm just curious. Like, is it only happening in the clubs, or? Is it happening elsewhere in life, or like how often?
So, because I have my own business, I don't really work with any other people. But when I used to like work in public places, like at a gas station, I definitely dealt with men. Like someone doesn't have to grab your ass to like cover this topic. There's like subtle things men do, like grazing your back, touching your arm, or playing with your hair, like trying to like give you a hug and stuff. Like I don't know.
Let me
It
ask you
doesn't
this.
have to be just
Let me
subjected
ask-
to just grabbing my ass. They're like little things that I don't do to men that men will do to women.
Let me ask you this: who do you think feels more entitled, male or female?
To what? Like grab the opposite
Like
gender?
I
touching
mean,
people.
just in general, like who do you think is more entitled to do whatever they want, male or female?
In general?
Yeah, in general.
I would
Like
say,
I
who
think
has
there's
more?
different for on each side. There's
yeah.
different ways they
But,
feel
but,
entitled.
the question is who has more of a sense of who has more self entitlement, male or female? If you had to pick one, who do you
See,
think has?
Muppet got to answer this. I don't really do gender wars where there's more than when it comes to men and women. I think people just
I mean,
equally do these things.
it's a good question though. I'm just asking.
I mean, but Kimmy made a good point. I mean, there's different reasons why one gender specifically would feel entitled. I don't think you can really generalize it.
I think you can though, because if that's the case, and every single question that gets asked about who does what more, it's always going to be, well, there's always going to be a difference. It's always like this kind of diplomatic answer. But I think we can generalize, because if one does more than the other, then I think it kind of shows that there isn't self entitlement. Like, for example, when it comes to women, I mean, this Barbie movie alone just made it seem like women are entitled to do whatever they want because they're women, and men are supposed to just sit back and let them do what they want. So
Yeah, but a lot of women today feel oppressed.
In what way?
I mean, that's a good question. I'm just saying. The majority of women, I would say, feel like they are oppressed. Like,
but my next question is: in
movements.
2023, how are women oppressed in 2023? Like, what? Just name one thing that's women are oppressed by in 2023.
Well, I would say like the wage gap, which I don't think exists, but these women believe that they exist, and they fight for equality all day, every day.
But if we establish that it doesn't exist, then how is
we can say that, but like they would disagree, and then they would like have their
But it's been debunked plenty of time by left wing, right wing. I mean, both sides debunked the wage gap. I mean, Time Magazine did a whole article about it.
Right, but you still have women, because they're women, who believe it, right? Like this.
But just because they believe it doesn't mean that that it's oppression. If it's been debunked, it's been debunked. So my question is, in what way are women oppressed in 2023?
I can tell you, I'm not a feminist.
Yeah, I'm not a feminist, so I really.
But we're not talking about feminists. We're talking about women. You said women feel your statement was women feel oppressed. So
okay, so yeah, like I would say feminist.
But
yeah, she's saying like there are women that feel that way, but she's not one of them, right?
No, sure, I get that, but when you said women do, they think they're oppressed.
Honestly, like when we're talking about entitlement, I can't say one or the other.
We can talk about which ways each one.
Yeah, and like which ways we could do that, but I can't just like generalize that. That's like impossible.
What would you say, Julius?
He's gonna say women.
I'd like to hear him say why.
I mean, I think that chivalry is a way of entitlement because they expect men to be chivalrous, but yeah, if we ask for one thing, then we're ashamed for it. So it's like there's always an expectation for us to be a certain way.
Yeah, I would disagree with that because they don't choose chivalrous men.
They may not choose it for a relationship goal, but I would think that just
so if they don't choose it, how do they expect it?
Well, I think there's women that expect it even outside like of dating.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, just they expect men in general to have this chivalry thing, like hold the door open and things like that. Like, if I walk out the door right now and I don't hold the door open, and some female behind me, she's gonna.
Yeah, I would expect a woman to do the same. Like, if there's a woman in front of me, I would hope that she would, keep the door open for me. I don't think that's just like a man thing.
Interesting. Suni says men have turned into whiners just like women at this point.
Suni.
Yeah, there's a
We were
lot
just
of
addressing that.
bitches out here claiming
Yeah.
it's
I'm
weird.
curious. I am curious to know because I want to kind of dive in on that sentence. And mind you, I don't like I understand the red pill things like that, but I'm curious to know like how exactly. I just want to know, not to do a gotcha. I'm just curious to know what ways have men become whiners, just like women. I'm just really curious to know like what is the specifics that men whine over when it comes to women. Like I want to know. If someone wants to join, she could join. I could put the link
Yeah,
in.
let her join because
She
we were
needs a
talking
link,
about
so.
this the other night in the Discord.
Yeah, and I got mind you, I'm not trying to do a gotcha. I'm curious to like know because I want to know like what exactly because I would agree with her. I just want to know like what exactly is it that she thinks that men whine about.
She says she
Just
needs the link. Oh, there you go. Good look.
yeah, I got
I
you,
don't know
Sunny.
how to see the chat.
You said that both are expressing sentiment of oppression. Yeah, hop on, Sunny, and then we'll talk about this. Good convo. So
Suni, get up here.
well, come on up, Sunny. She don't like-
Answer for all this problem. Yeah. So what's the question? I guess that you're asking, Julius. Ultimately, who feels more, or
yeah,
who?
no, I was just saying like who has more sense of entitlement.
Entitlement.
Yeah, I mean because Kimmy was talking about that men feel entitled to touch women, and I was disagreeing because I don't think it happens on average. But she mentioned the club, and then Muppet, when you talked about, you mentioned the club too. Both of you guys mentioned the club. I said that at the club, you got to expect there's going to be folks who are going to be inappropriate. It's not right for men to do. I don't agree with it whatsoever, nor do I condone it. But unfortunately,
However,
I can speak from my experiences. So I don't really, look for too many other people what they experience. I just know what I experience with men. And this has come from Hot Kimmy. So
I just think everyone needs to keep their hands to themselves.
no, I agree. I agree 1,000%. I don't like that.
I don't
Again,
even care if you look like you're asking for it. Like, you just don't know. Like,
yeah. Well, that's why I was telling you when I was doing my street interviews and I would I was looking around trying to find somebody to talk to. I would see like a man like break his neck to look at a bunch of women and then like go like skip to them. And I'm like, why is he skipping like that? I'm like, it's so weird. Like he looks like he's dressed like a certain way and he's like skipping to these women. I'm like, dog, it's not that serious. Like they're walking away because they want to go home. And here you are trying to, hey, ladies. I'm like, it just, I don't know. I just get disgusted by that. I'm like, dog, you're making men look bad.
It's a bad look.
And then if you do that, they don't want to talk to me because they're gonna know what I'm gonna do. So I don't know. It's just stuff like that. Just like it's so cringe. I can't stand when I see men do that. I'm like, there's ways you can talk to women. You don't gotta like skip to them. Like, ladies, I gotta get your number. Like, bro, calm down. Like you're showing how horny you are. And
Well,
I hear people do things and act like
well,
nobody-
I would say it's harder for men to get laid than women. So they're probably worried that they won't get picked.
But
Yeah.
even that's no excuse. You're
That's not
right,
an excuse.
but that's no excuse.
Well, they're
to
just trying to
act
get
like
their
a
dick
horn
wet.
dog.
I mean, come on.
But there's still no excuse to act like a horn dog. Like, dog, you gotta chill out. Like, there's ways you can talk to female, be casual, be cordial, be likable, not go skip to them because you breaking their neck if they're wearing a short dress. They got hella makeup on. Like, what do you?
Well, here's the thing. That's not going to get you laid anyways. That's a bad look. It's just
That's what
not.
I'm saying. It's so cringe when I see men do that. What up, Sunny?
What's up?
You're talking about how cringe men are. That all the men I've seen when I go do my street interviews, and I see these men like kind of jog to go get women's numbers, and I'm like, why are you doing that? Like, just stop. Like, you act like you never seen that chick before. Like, did you just like were born today? Like, what happened when you kept in the basement and now you're out? You're like, oh my god, oh my god. It's like, chill out. They're just titties. It's just cringe. So what we were kind of talking about earlier, well, before Kimmy mentioned about men feeling entitled, we were kind of discussing the Barbie movie, things like. And I know you asked me earlier in the Discord why I watched that movie. I only watched it because I like to watch movies like that to know like what the messaging they're putting out. I know it's like not too far cry of like the wokeness, but I'm curious to know like how how are they doing that per se? Like, what exactly are they doing in order to get the message out of like, is it going to be about equality or is it going to be about lifting one and down, playing the other? So, but then Kimmy had the comment saying that men feel entitled to touch women, and I was disagreeing, saying that I don't think it happens on average. But she mentioned the club, and then when Muppet came on, she mentioned the club too. So I was saying that these are things that happen at the club. I don't condone it, but it sounds like when you're at the club, you gotta expect some kind of inappropriateness. It's not right, but it's the club. Unfortunately, everybody's horny, trying to sleep around. But I don't think men are just touching chicks on average. So that's my I guess my stance. What's up, Caleb?
How's it going?
All is well, sir. How you doing?
Doing good.
Caleb was bringing up some relevant stats in the comments that I thought were pretty on point for this kind of topic. If we're going to be exploring like how often are men sexually assaulting women like that or whatever, groping them.
Yeah. And you mentioned Caleb too. You mentioned earlier. I want to read what you said about that. You said in 2021, 0.04% reported being sexually assaulted, groped, touched in a suggestive fashion.
That's
now
out the
again,
entire population.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm not going to discard that and say that doesn't happen. Again, I don't condone it happening. This shouldn't happen. I wonder though, I'm just kind of just throwing this out there. I wonder if some of those cases are like false because you do get the false accusations. So I'm curious kind of like about that too, if that's included or if it's not included.
Yeah, I mean, on average, perpetrators of sex crimes are prosecuted at a rate of less than 1%. Out of, and this is from the FBI's crime statistics as well as local PD and state release stats as well.
So, do you think that men are entitled? That they think they're entitled to just touch women? Or do you think it happens like on a everyday basis? Or you think it's only like the club and just like certain events, or you think it's like an everyday thing?
I don't think it's a man or woman issue. I think it's more of a culture issue. When you've got when you have a culture that on the female side that you have the IG models who are again constantly sexualizing their appearance, constantly portraying this narrative that this is what women across the country should aspire to be, and I'm talking young women. You get a problem there. The same thing for on the male side. When you are encouraging men to be weak, like I said this earlier about like men touching women, women touching men. It's weak on both sides, and to say it's one person's problem over the other is it's not backed up with stats, and it's not something that I think anybody can really like objectively speak on.
So, what do you think?
I disagree wholeheartedly. Many sexual assaults they're not even reported. Like, no different than domestic violence situations with men, and sexual assaults are not reported. So using statistics in this manner, in my opinion, is extremely deceptive because we're leaving out how much of the population that doesn't tell. Women do get touched. They might just brush it off or be like, what the fuck, and have a moment, but they don't feel the need to report it. They're sitting here pretending like that shit doesn't happen. That's cap.
No, like to be clear, like I'm not suggesting that it doesn't happen at levels throughout the country. It's hard to have a genuine conversation when like, and it's not you, it's just generally the conversation. How can you have an honest conversation about something being an issue and there not being enough to your point, enough viable statistics and research done on this to be able to say, hey, like this is what it actually is. Is it a problem collectively for one gender over the other? Does it have more to do with area, location? Like these are all things that we can't get because to your point, right? When it happens, if it's not being reported, then I can only make you can only make a argument from statistics based off of what's there. I can't speculate about the unreported cases because like
I
so
think
how
we
many
can though.
okay, so
We
how
can
many
definitely speculate.
so is it 1 in 6? Because there's a ton. So there's like 1 in 6 women reportedly don't report. There's 1 in 9. There's 13. There's like a lot of different stats out there around the amount of rapes and sexual assaults that go unreported across the country. So like, what's the objective measure if people aren't reporting it?
We can only use what's being reported, and then after that, it's anecdote because they're not reporting it. So after already viewing what is statistical analysis, which is accurate, I have the FBI statistics as well as other rape statistics. I'm sorry, grape statistics pulled up in front of me. We could deal with that, and then we can also factor in anecdotal. Either way, we're still going to be dealing with nuances of potential deception.
Sure.
Even if the person is convicted, right? That
Absolutely.
woman could still be being dishonest. So either way, I think they both weigh heavily in particular. And I see that had a lot of statistics, but
It's a good book.
according to the conversation we're having, I do think that both sides weigh heavily, and I don't think it's one way or the other. I agree with you there. It's wrong when either gender does it. But I do think that we need to be honest of men definitely overpower women more than not. And when you get to sexual harassment of women, it's usually targeting young men that can't fight back, students. That's where you see it. But it's still happening, I think, equally on both sides for the conversation to happen. I don't think we should paint either side as a monster.
So to go to your point, then would you say then? I mean, because if we're bringing in the fact that a lot of these sexual assaults and rapes go unreported, to your point, what do you think like they've done studies on the psychological aspects of why men do not, like, on average come forward when they are sexually assaulted or raped. And so, like, to that point, if we are exploring the other side and giving the whole perspective of, okay, let's include anecdotal evidence, and then let's also include what we can speculate goes unreported. We see the statistics time and time again on, like, hey, 1 in 6 women, 1 in 13 women, 1 in, like, again, like I said, there's a number of them out there. But the point that I'm making is that for men, there's another aspect that no one seems to talk about or investigate or study, like, detailed on, hey, like, men psychologically are, on average, when it comes to women reporting sexual assaults versus men, of course the rate is going to be much lower. And you could argue that, is it an argument of, are there more women that are consistently getting sexual assaults and reporting it, or are there a number of men who are sexually assaulted, raped, molested, who don't report it because of the psychological aspect of it, of what that does to a man and what men typically will expect out of society when they come forward with that? You're muted.
Yeah, still
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay.
Why should that matter? Why should that emotional part matter? Women, I tell women all the time, if you're not going to report, then don't talk about it. There's no point in you not reporting it, and then you going out and saying, well, we feel shame in reporting it. Okay, yes, we feel shame. It sucks. But we got to stop with this victim stuff. Like,
Sure.
if you're going to report it and you want something done, fucking report it, bro.
I
I had a
can
question.
wholeheartedly agree.
Before I get to Sunni's comment earlier, I'm curious to know about that, but I'm going to ask you guys a question just for everybody. What do you guys think about when you hear somebody says like 20 years later on that somebody, like when females say, "Oh, he raped me 20 years ago," what do you guys think about that? Like, do you think there's some validation to that, or do you think like it's too long and they should have been said something? Like, what do you guys think about that?
That's definitely too long.
I think it's
I don't think.
unfair.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Who's gonna go first?
Go ahead.
I don't think it is wrong. I don't think it is unfair. The only part I find to be unfair is that so much time has passed that you can't really prove it outside of this is what happened to me. So then it turns into what people would say when it's like you're victim blaming. Well, why didn't you say something sooner? Well, because we have to prosecute. So if you want this person to be held accountable for what they did, then you can't wait 20 years. You can't.
Yeah.
You need to report it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. From my perspective, I think it's unfair for anybody who gets if someone comes forward and says that some sort of sexual assault or rape happened 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I think it's unfair to the person who's being accused of it, because at that point, like things like forensics evidence, the like any of the concrete evidence that you can actually point to try and substantiate the accusation is for the most part pretty much gone, unless the police have been working a cold case rape, which typically those don't get investigated after there's no substantial leads found. So my thing is, it's like, how can we look at someone and say, hey, like that person who is coming forward and saying that you did this to them 20 or 30 years ago, how can we accept that, but then also look at the person who's being accused of it, and essentially it becomes this social court of them having to essentially prove their innocence, as opposed to letting the facts in criminal procedure prevail. And it doesn't happen enough. I mean, there was that lady who freaking she did a whole movie on was it a movie or a book? She did a movie or a book on saying that this guy had sexually assaulted her, and this guy went to jail. He ended up getting released early because they found out, and they were looking through her book that she wrote, that there were they like had someone analyze this, do a chronological account of everything, broke it down from a forensics perspective, and found drastic inconsistencies with the person's initial statement they said and who they identified versus the person who at the end got prosecuted for it and sat in jail for decades. That person made, I want to say she made millions off of the proceeds from that. The name is just slipping me, and I'm going to find it. But that's my thing. That is where culture kind of sits at, where it is, once an accusation is laid, it is very hard for a man or a woman to gain their reputation back. I mean, you have very few exceptions to that. I mean, you can look at like politicians who have been, accused of some of this stuff, or people who hold, high status in the world. Sure, there's a lot of attention on it for a while, but these people are still walking free. I'm talking about your average, everyday layman. They don't get the justice.
So just to clarify, are you saying that the woman got paid, but she was inconsistent? It was the female that was inconsistent with her statement?
Yeah,
or what?
They found out that the person who she identified, like investigators say she lied in the official statement that they wrote when they released it. They say that he was misidentified by the alleged victim at the time.
Interesting.
So that guy who got accused of it sat in jail for decades. And the only reason he got any sort of restitution for that not financially because they haven't given him that. But the only reason he got any sort of restitution as far as being able to get exonerated was because people started to poke holes in the story. And that's a large part of what happens when, again, to Suni's point, when these things aren't going reported, like in a timely fashion enough to have a fair and equitable investigation for everyone involved, who is it fair to then expand that out to 20 or 30 years? I'm a big proponent of statutory limitations. I'm going to be honest when it comes to prosecution for some of these cases. I don't think someone should be able to do that because then the Sunni's point, now it becomes how much more credible is their word compared to the person who's being accused of it.
Real quick, somebody was commenting saying, where did he go with this? Just to catch him up. We were just kind of going off of like the entitlement thing and how both sides kind of play this little, I guess you can call it like victimhood. And
It's the oppression Olympics.
Yeah, that's how we kind of bring that down. Now, Suni, you said earlier, you said that men are whiny just as women. What do you mean? Oh, cool. Hold on, real quick. Hold on, guys. Short baked video just said, I am now the 110th subscriber. I want to say real quick. Hold on. Stop the press. Stop the press. I just want to say, first and foremost, thank you to all you guys who subscribe. We appreciate that. So shout out to all you guys for subscribing to Age of Men podcast. Hopefully we get more. So we appreciate all you guys. Just want to say thank you for that. So cool, over 100 subscribers. So hey, just want to say thank you. Shout out to all you guys. We appreciate you guys. So Suni was saying that men are just as whiny as women, and I was wondering if you can kind of maybe break that down. Like, what exactly? How do you mean that men are whiny? Like, what are they whiny about? I know you said oppression and limping, but what specifically are they whiny about that makes them in comparison to women?
How they're treated in society. I think men have been made to feel so small that they have developed a Napoleon complex. There's just way too many men who are putting on fake forms of what masculinity is. I don't even think men truly know what masculinity is at this point. I don't. When I sit and listen to men complain about a system that they opted to be into when they slept with a woman, if we don't have sympathy for women, I'm not giving it to a man. I'm sorry. You already know what you're stacked up against. Just like women, you already know you could make yourself a single mother if you decide to procreate with a certain type of man. So why do I have to sit and listen to you, who's supposed to be a strong man and logical, right? You want these women to follow you, but you are showing that you can't even make smart choices with your private parts. Why don't we keep the same energy for both sides? Like, I feel like we've traded the holding women up on this pedestal just to put men up here to be like, oh, the world is just so harsh to you. And I'm so sorry. Let's just feel bad for you. And now they're just developing this victim complex to where they're bitter as shit. Bitter. We're not even listening to men who have it together. We're listening to men who don't have relationships, who haven't had successful marriages, who are continuing to having failed marriages, continuing to create baby mamas. Why are we listening to them? Why are we listening to guys who tell you to have frivolous sex and just sleep with women, but get mad that whores exist? I know I'm ranting, but this is what I've been observing.
That's a really good point.
It makes no sense.
You and I actually had agreed upon this one time, Tony, because we both agreed the same thing. It's like, you can get mad at hoes, but then you call yourself a hoe maker if you sleep around with the hoe. Like, you get what I'm saying? If you're a hoe maker and you're getting mad that females are hoes, that's on you. That's why I said the one thing I always disagree with the red pill is to sleep around with women. Like Myron was saying that men should sleep around with 50 women. I mean, that's a lot. I'll be honest with you, it's a lot. But 50 women, and when Sneeko asked why, he said because it gives men the idea of female nature. And Sneeko said, I don't think men have to sleep around with women in order to know female nature. And I'm like,
Exactly.
I agree with Sneeko because, you know, I don't want to get too personal, but before I got to a certain place in my life, just interacting with females when I did like them and how they like me, I just saw like what they wanted versus what they didn't want. So it's not that hard to say, okay, she doesn't like me because I'm too nice or I don't know how to lead. So that's on me to like get better at that as a man. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I was telling a friend about this last night. I was actually telling Nick about this before we did the show. I told him that, like, for me, I think men should lead more to where we shouldn't sleep around. I was almost going to tweet this on Twitter, and I was going to say, unpopular opinion, men shouldn't sleep around. I just don't think they should, because if we're supposed to be leaders, right? Like, in order to have the best woman possible, we have to be the best man possible. And I think doing that, one way by doing that is not sleeping around. Now, I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying I get it for the men that have a lot of money and have these options, but that still doesn't make it right, because if you're just now if you're telling chicks that, you know, I want multiple girls, I want to marry multiple chicks, if she's on board with that, that's between y'all. But if it's just like you're a dude who's just working and then you want to go sleep around and have a little fun because you want to know female nature, then that's on you, because then you can catch something, you can get a girl pregnant, these things can happen. So I think the best way for men to lead is just really to just not have sex and be on your purpose. Like, get your finances right, get yourself right, go to the gym, work out, save your money, invest, start your business, whatever the case may be. Then when you do find that chick, you're like peer, or at least close to peer as possible. And now you can actually lead because you've been disciplining yourself, that now you can actually like have a family. I don't know. Maybe that's too righteous. But
No,
I think
I
that
feel like that's what a masculine man is. A man who's not going out partying, trying to hook up with everybody. You know, Sally,
He's
Ashley, and
disciplined.
Brittany. Right. He's
He's
disciplined.
very disciplined.
He's working hard to create a life for him and his family.
because like I know people would disagree with me, like, especially when I said the whole single dad thing about single parents. I know for me, like, I have a daughter, so I can't tell her one thing and then sneak around with some chick over here and bang her, and then I'm like, don't have sex though, because you're a woman, and then I'm over here banging women. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like,
I get that.
that's not cool. So my thing is, I want to practice what I preach. If I'm going to be a man of God, I'm going to be a man of God. I want to live life to where I'm taking care of my business, taking care of my child, financially stable. And if I get a chick, vet the heck out of her. Like, really vet the chick, not just a 3-month period. And, it's been 3 months, we should sleep around. No. I know it's been 3 months, but I still don't know you. Like, I want to know, how are you like when life gets bad? How are you like if we don't talk for a couple of days? What are you like? Do you move on to the next guy? Or do you actually say, you know what? This dude has his priorities straight. I'm going to stick around because I can see a long term with him. That's what men need to start vetting chicks by. I know we always do this 3-month rule. It's been 3 months, we can sleep around. It's just me and her. Then you sleep around. Next thing you know, she gave it up to you. You gave it up to her. Now hypergamy kicks in. Now she's texting the next guy, but keeping you around, but then got this other guy around. So now she's dealing with 2 dudes, and you're like, who's the guy you're texting? Now you're getting all mad at the guy, but not getting mad at her for texting the guy that first. It's like, it just gets weird. You know what I mean? So you gotta really vet somebody. Like, take care of yourself, vet the chick. I would say give it a good year. And this is my opinion, give it a good year to really see how she is with life and you two. And that year goes by and she's been loyal to the soil, helping you out to like bring you peace and things like that. Okay, maybe you can move on to the next step. But I don't know. Men don't want to do that. They want to sleep around and just bang chicks all day because
Or maybe just
I don't know why. It just gets boring after a while. Like, how many chicks can you bang until you get bored? And then next thing you know, it becomes threesomes, and now you're cucking. Now you're Adam 22. So
it's shallow. It's really shallow.
Stranger. Right? Now you got some black guy banging your.
It's sad though. Like because the manosphere and the red pill community started out with like great intentions, dude. The conversations that they were having was necessary. I think when Kevin Samuels came around and was explaining to women that these men have options, right? And whether you like it or not, they're going to utilize those options. And he was laying it out for them. These are the type of men that you want, and this is what they're participating in. But also note that he advocated heavily for marriage. He advocated heavily for mothers and fathers to get back together and figure their families out. That was something that he really advocated for. And I think the red pill community, fresh and fit, even Andrew Tate, they've completely missed the mark on how to even get men and women on the same page, because you're competing with them now. And then they feel like they're competing with you, and both of y'all are doing this. And you have the sensible people in the middle, like, y'all are both whores. Like, ew. Who would want either one of you? I wish that voice would rise up in this entire movement, because the red pill community is just, they've just gone astray, dude. I don't know where they are anymore, but it's not focusing on what masculinity truly is.
Well, when you said men of sphere, it's more like men of queers. No. But now I was gonna say, I don't know if this is how true this is, but I have seen Sneeko kind of lean more towards like God and kind of not sleeping around, because he actually talked about that with Myron. He had a video post on Twitter where he was basically telling Myron that, you know, like sleeping around is one thing, but then it's like, again, how long can you keep doing that for? I mean, honestly, like I just don't see the point in sleeping around, because at that point it starts to become, in my opinion, an addiction where you're addicted to sleeping around because you want to just get all these women. But at the end of the day, I'm not trying to sound weird, but it's the same thing, just different chick. This position, that position. And then again, it gets so bored, you start doing stranger stuff. So it's like, just work on yourself. Like, do away with the sex and really lead. Like, I think we can really be a righteous country or a righteous society if we just stop having sex with lots of women, because this is the reason why America is the #1 country for single parenthood, because these men are trying to do this this strategy of alpha male, but then missing the mark and not executing it, I guess, correctly. And then they're getting these girls pregnant, and now they're either leaving or they're saying getting an abortion, because statistically, men coerce women to get an abortion. People don't know about that. A lot of men do coerce women to get an abortion.
That's a fact. So, I'm glad you said that.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I guess this is for everyone on the panel. Do you think women lose value as they age?
Absolutely.
All right.
I mean, fertility wise, they do.
Right, but now we're raising a generation where women don't want to have children.
Well, yeah, it depends what you're looking for from a woman, I guess.
Well, I mean, I hate. Look, I'm not trying to like sound edgy or cool, but I just think that a woman's, when I watch like now, I'm being a lot more observant to like females and the things like. So when I watch old movies or when I see like these celebrities who used to be young, I can tell that that's where their beauty lies, is when they're young. You know what I mean? Like, not much talking about like 16, I'm talking about like 21, 22, like, you know, they're a lot more fertile, things like that. They're more beautiful. Once they get older, you start to see like the wrinkles come in and this and that, which is why a lot of these women use aging cream and Botox and things like that, fillers, because they want to stay young forever. So I do agree that I think that once she gets older, there is a value loss, not as a character, but just beauty wise. I think characteristically she can still be a great person, but she's going to have to accept the fact that she's getting older. And not all, but I think there are women out there who can't accept the fact that they're older. I'll give you an example. In the Barbie movie, right? I know I keep bringing this up, but the Barbie movie, the first scene you see Margot Robbie in, I'm not going to lie, she looks old. Like, it's weird. Like, she looks, I was just watching it, not trying to be like, oh, she's mid. Not trying to be edgy, but I'm watching it, I'm like, just that image alone, she looks old. If this was made like maybe 10 years ago, she would have looked better. I don't know. That's why I think when women's beauty lies in her youth more than when she gets older.
Yeah, I think the argument would be like they would develop more personality and character. So if you're in it for more than just the looks or the body, then maybe they'd be more developed or something. But again, the fertility thing is important for any man that's trying to start a family. It depends what you're looking for out of a partner, I guess. Or
Also,
mate. I don't like that word partner. A mate.
yeah, I was gonna call you out on just now too. That word partner is just weird to me.
For lack of a better term, you guys know.
So now one thing I gotta say, I would throw in too. I would add, I do think that women lose value the more sex they have. Once you give up to one man and then the next and the next and the next, you do lose that value. I mean,
I actually agree with that.
most women, women I talk to, they don't agree with me on that. They think that like they should be able to do what they want. But I think when you gotta think you're giving your body up. There used to be a time when women would say my body is a temple. Now every man is walking in that temple. They're all Drake runs. Like they're all that guy
Right.
who runs to the temple. Like that's what they are now. So they're allowing lots of dudes to just go into the temple and come right out and not stay. Like they're there for a good time, not a long time. So when they have all these bodies stacked up, now by the time they get to the last guy, they want all these things from this guy, but this guy is like, dang, you like slept around. I barely did anything. And you expect a lot from me, but here you are out here doing God knows what with God knows who. Got a couple of kids.
You got a thought, Siri?
Yeah, I wanted to say thank you for having me on. I
Of
hope
course.
you guys continue these like nuanced discussions. But I'm gonna I want you guys to join this live too. I'm about to host a live talking about Andrew Tate and
On
what
Instagram?
seems to be extremely hypocritical because I did
We
grab
talked about
this.
that.
You did?
Me and Nick were talking about that before the show. I saw your post, and I was like, "Is that tweet from Tate though?"
It's not a tweet.
Oh, not a tweet, the text message, right? The text message.
It's
like,
on his
that?
website. It's on his website.
Oh, that came from his website.
It came from his website, his inner circle. So I wanted to join it
Oh.
because I wanted to actually read it. And he's
Okay.
charging $8,000 for people to even be a part of that fucking that stream. Now, I'm gonna keep saying allegedly until I meet a guy who is willing to pay that extreme amount of money to sit and listen or read that crap. That actually pissed me off because that is what men are pushing as alpha and masculinity, and that's not what masculinity is. And the fact that Andrew Tate is pushing that, allegedly, we got an issue with that over here.
Okay. When I saw your post, see, I first saw it, I thought it was just this is just a thing he's having an issue with between him and some girl. Like, what is the actual problem? It just sounded like drama between him and the girl. I didn't know that it came from his actual website, and he's telling men that, like, you know, hey, I kind of played this chick and this and that. Because I was telling Nick earlier, it's like with Andrew Tate, I don't agree with everything he says. Like, he says some weird stuff, like the whole Megan Fox and Hulk Hogan thing that he was talking about. Like, remember he was saying,
Would you sleep with a 5 or a beautiful 10 that's a tranny? No, sir.
Yeah, I was like, like I don't know if he's like joking, but I don't even joke around with stuff like that. I'm just like, why would you even joke like that? It's just, look, this is weird, but random, but it's the same way when like Elijah Schaefer, when he's posting about Dylan Mulvaney, he's like, what would you rate him? I'm like, why are you even like trying to normalize this stuff? It's almost like
why would you rate that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's weird. I almost think they're trying to like normalize Dylan and to be like, maybe I would kind of a couple of drinks from me. Maybe I would. It's like, wait, what am I thinking about?
I think a lot of men would.
Before I go, just because I want you guys to see this, okay? This is on the website. I looked at this myself. This is his website. I can pull it up right here and you can see exactly what the chat looks like. It is a replica. Now, not making this up. This is his chat. This is the war room. This is where he sells his Hustler University, etc. So I read this, and at first I read the text message only, and I thought, well, what's the problem? He's telling his girl, I heard this about you. I don't want you here. Until I got to the thread. When you say I made this up, you lose all credibility, sir. Why did you have to make a lie up in order to get her to stay where she needs to stay according to you? If you're a man, Andrew Tate, then you should be able to have a set of balls to say, I don't want you going here. And if she chooses to fight you on it, then chuck the deuces. But to encourage men to lie to get a result, that's what women do. That's Carly Russell. What the fuck? I'm going to go missing to make my boyfriend sweat.
That's hella funny. That story was crazy.
I'm
When
dead.
you remember broke that down, I was like, that's
Snapped
wild.
her own damn wig.
Uh, so that's what I was telling Nick earlier. Again, when I was the same like you, Sunny. I saw the exchange. I was like, okay, this just sounds like this is an exchange between him and this girl. It doesn't sound like it's really much. But Nick was pointing out the fact that he said, I literally made this up. And that's why I was like, okay, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with him having to make something up in order to like keep his girl in line. 'Cause I've seen it before, like throughout my life. I've seen men do that, like make up something just to keep her in line. And I'm just like, that's not cool. I don't know.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
Well, hey, that's a
If you
good
guys want to
teaser.
join,
Yeah, where are you gonna be live, Sydney? Instagram?
I'm going on Instagram. I'll be right on Instagram. I'm not going far. I know that Lopez is on there. I know there's a lot of red pill men on there that
Oh, yeah.
love to make excuses for men.
Hey, that's where
And
we
I
all
want
made our
to see
home.
them.
We made a family over on Instagram.
I gotta see who's gonna make excuses or who's gonna be like, nah, bro, that's cringe. Like, nah, I'm not cool with that. That's cringe.
Yeah.
I'm going to go on the record and say that I will always hold men accountable. So when Andrew Tate does say or does something like that, I'll be the first to say, just like with Myron. I like watching Fresh and Fit, but do I agree with Myron on everything? Absolutely not. I don't agree with
Myron gets on my damn nerves.
I don't know. I like the guy, but I just don't agree with him about slipping around with a bunch of chicks. I think it's retarded.
Yeah,
yes,
because it's those
I said
same
retarded.
chicks. It's those same chicks that he talks to, like on a show, talking about like this is not what men want. But I don't know. He's that type of man to go sleep with one of those chicks. It's just so weird.
I will say I agree that they do bring on some chicks that come off like bimbos.
Oh
I don't like that. But I'm just gonna say sometimes it's on them too, because if they're not able to articulate, is that really his fault, or is it?
They're alpha men. Why do you wanna interact with bimbos that only reinforce your point of women are dumb? That's like me going to get a dumbass man who clearly has no clue about anything and dunking on him and being like, "Look at me, I'm the standard."
That's Mitch. That's Mitch every day.
I'll say this, and you know, everybody.
I'm sorry, this comment, bro. I'm sorry.
Sean.
Red Pill Mike. Real quick. Red Pill Mike, I think one time he posted this thing. He's like, you F with Tate, you F with me. I was like, oh my God, bro.
Caleb, what were you saying, buddy? And then we'll bring it home.
I was just going to say this, and then I'm going to hop off and go watch Suni's thing. Everybody can do their own research. I've done mine. The case in Romania that Tate's still involved in, the charges are still rape, human trafficking, and an organized criminal gang. In there, the prosecuting attorney talks about some of the tactics, allegedly, that Tate used to include coercion, trying to control the movements of these women. Similar things, that there are some similarities in the messages that just got leaked recently and what prosecuting attorneys are saying he did in that case.
So do you real quick before we go, do you think that these text messages now that Suni's talking about might correlate?
I think this is a completely different thing. They've already identified who the females in question. Okay. You know, it's a separate thing, but it does speak, if these are like authentic, it does speak to his character, and it speaks to some level of credibility, honestly, to potentially those allegations being substantiated. Again, these are all alleged, and you know, everybody's entitled to innocent until proven guilty, and you know, should let the law work its way out. But it's just something interesting to consider.
Well, as a wise man once said, I'll quote Nick, that's a high note if I ever heard one. So we're going to end this show on there. So we appreciate you guys, Kimmy, Muppet, Caleb, Suni. We appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
You guys are more than welcome to always join the conversation. I mean, we do try to have a nuanced conversation. This is the Age of New podcast, but we want to have more nuanced conversation because there some things are just common sense, but some things can go a little bit deeper as well to understand why things are, and that's what we're all about. So, are we in competition with other Red Pill podcasts? Maybe, but I think we're also different as well. We're trying to have a more nuanced conversation. So, for all you guys watching at home, if you guys like what you saw, do hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, do hit subscribe to follow us and whatnot. Hit that bell for notifications. Follow us on all other social media platforms. We got Instagram. We're going to have other platforms as well, so just be on the lookout for that. If you want to support what we do and you like what we do, the links are down below. The cash apps are there. You want to be a guest on the show, you can always email us through email, or you can do DMs on Asian Men Podcast on Instagram. We appreciate you guys. Thank you for joining, and we'll see you guys next week. Until then, stay strong, man.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.